The dawn of a new power era? What if the skies over Beijing echoed with the roar of hypersonic missiles, while world leaders stood shoulder to shoulder, watching a parade that could redefine global deterrence? If a nation can condense history, technology, and strategy into a single morning, what message does it choose to send, and to whom? As China prepares for September 3, 2025, the 80th anniversary of victory in the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression in World War II, the line between commemoration and power projection blurs. Is this a victory lap for a long, brutal war, or a calculated strategic broadcast tailored for today's rivals? Why this date? Why this scale? And why now? Consider this. The last decade saw Beijing unveil intercontinental missiles and stealth drones in the very heart of the capital. The precedent is clear. The stakes are higher. This year's commemoration will include a mass gathering in Tiananmen Square, a reception at noon, and an evening gala centered around a military parade seen as both a tribute to the past and a statement about the future. Victory Day itself is no mere ceremonial invention. China designated September 3rd to mark the end of fascist aggression following Japan's surrender, cementing national memory and signaling continuity of purpose in defense and deterrence. The hook for the world is simple yet profound. The parade is a mirror. What the world sees in it, reassurance or intimidation, reveals just as much about global anxieties as it does about China's capabilities. If systems once shrouded in secrecy appear again in daylight, will they be the same as before, or upgraded for a new era of electronic warfare, hypersonic flight, and integrated command? The answers matter because they reshape calculations from the Western Pacific to Europe, from orbit to ocean depths. Today, we break down the logic behind the event, the systems likely to define it, and the mechanisms by which shock becomes strategy. The stated purpose is remembrance, and on this, the government's messaging is emphatic. The 80th anniversary honors the sacrifices and 35 million casualties suffered during a 14-year struggle against invasion, with multiple commemorations slated across the calendar, from July 7th memorials to September 18th, October 25, and the December 13th Nanjing Massacre Remembrance. Yet the military parade format carries a dual logic. It unifies domestic audiences while signaling to external observers the costs of coercion. Beijing has used major parades to normalize the public presence of strategic systems. The 2019 National Day Parade showcased the DF-41 road mobile ICBM for the first time, a move that visibly recalibrated perceptions of China's intercontinental reach. Commemoration is real, so is messaging. A parade is not a doctrine, but it can illustrate one. Over the past decade, China's modernization has emphasized informatized and increasingly intelligentized warfare, culminating in April 2024 with the creation of the Information Support Force, ISF, alongside newly designated aerospace and cyberspace forces, all reporting directly to the Central Military Commission. This restructure, dissolving the Strategic Support Force, signals a priority: tighter command over the networks, sensors, and electromagnetic spectrum that knit modern operations together. A highly choreographed demonstration of platforms and their linkages complements that goal by translating abstract doctrine into visible order. September 3rd reinforces a narrative of national rejuvenation that ties historical trauma to technological renewal. Memory becomes a mandate to innovate and defend. This year's plan extends beyond Beijing, with ceremonies and exhibitions across regions and a medal program honoring veterans and families, rituals that anchor unity while aligning public sentiment with policy. Taken together, the parade isn't simply a stage, it's a structured statecraft instrument. It deters by showing resilience, it educates by staging history, and it integrates by ordering technology into narrative. The mechanism of impact lies in clarity. Adversaries see capability progressions in daylight. Allies gauge consistency of posture, and domestic audiences witness a coherent arc from sacrifice to strength. China's official Victory Day commemorates the end of Japan's occupation and the broader anti-fascist struggle. The symbolism is dense. A war that began in 1931 and concluded in 1945 becomes an enduring reference point for state legitimacy and international positioning. Ritualizing this memory on September 3rd inscribes a specific historical reading into the calendar, one that threads national endurance into an argument for preparedness. Dates here are a strategic resource. They codify a story about cause, cost, and consequence that influences how a country frames its red lines and priorities. On September 3, 2015, the last major Victory Day parade showcased an array of ballistic systems, including first public displays of missiles like the DF-26 and YJ-12, underlining the leap in long-range precision strike capacity that China had achieved by the mid-2000s and teens. In parallel, the 2019 National Day Parade unveiled the DF-17 hypersonic glide vehicle system and the DF-41 ICBM, further compressing the timeline between development and display. The cadence is revealing. Commemorative parades double as milestone markers in modernization. The 2025 commemoration is consciously national in scope. Hong Kong will host an official ceremony at the City Hall Memorial Garden on September 3rd, supported by exhibitions and educational programming, aligning the city's calendar with Beijing's central event. Macau will organize live viewing events for youth and community groups to watch the Tiananmen ceremony and listen to the national address, reinforcing symbolic unity across the special administrative regions. By embedding September 3rd in local civic rituals, central authorities knit together a shared narrative that transcends geography and politics. The mechanism of impact here is cumulative. By synchronizing remembrance, the state aligns identity with security policy and validates its case for sustained readiness in a volatile period. The J-20 has already transitioned from debut to iterative improvement, with strong evidence that prototypes fitted with WS-15 engines have been flying since mid-2023, a key step towards sustained supercruise and enhanced mission flexibility. Photos and videos associated with J-20's serial number 2052 circulated in June 2023. The Pentagon's 2023 report anticipated exactly this: WS-15 powered supercruise and increased internal carriage. Engine maturity unlocks not just speed, but also energy for sensors, EW payloads, and payload flexibility, capabilities that matter in contested airspace where endurance, detection, and surprise drive outcomes. China's J-35 naval stealth fighter appears to have entered low-rate initial production, with indications it is edging toward planned service. Imagery showing airframes with construction numbers 0011 and 0012, complete with military insignia, suggests a transition from prototype to limited series production, widely interpreted as the prelude to carrier integration. A stealth-capable carrier wing changes naval risk calculus. It extends China's ability to contest airspace over maritime approaches and complicates adversaries' strike planning by adding low-observable aircraft, organic to China's new generation carriers, into the first day of war equation. J-36, J-50, and the edge of speculation rumors of emerging sixth-generation Chinese designs, often labeled J-36 and J-50, have proliferated since late 2024. While sightings and analyses suggest tailless, low-observable configurations optimized for speed and teaming with drones, official details remain sparse, and the designations are speculative rather than confirmed by Chinese authorities. The mechanism worth watching is not a nameplate. It's the doctrine of manned-unmanned teaming, broader sensor fusion, and mission autonomy. The parade may not unveil a sixth-gen platform in full, but any incremental hints about teaming concepts or avionics architecture would matter, because in modern air warfare, system of systems outruns any single jet. In 2024, China displayed gun-armed robotic dogs in joint drills with Cambodia, demonstrating urban reconnaissance and assault tasks traditionally hazardous for human units. Videos from the Golden Dragon 2024 exercises showed the robotic platforms leading entries and integrating with small aerial drones, an early operationally relevant proof of concept for contested urban terrain. Independent reporting noted endurance, sensing, and semi-autonomous navigation functions in lighter and heavier variants, pointing toward modular roles from scouting to fire support. China's unmanned air ecosystem ranges from stealthy UCAVs to developing loyal wingman drones. The GJ-11 Sharp Sword Flying Wing UCAV has been publicly profiled as a stealth strike and ISR platform, while the FH-97A is pitched as a loyal wingman concept with air-to-air roles, signaling intent to pair drones with fighters for cooperative operations. Beyond individual platforms, Chinese research and industry messaging increasingly emphasize swarm concepts for saturation attacks, reconnaissance, and decoy tactics, consistent with broader PLA thinking on intelligentized warfare. The AI and EW bridge autonomy matters most when it integrates with electronic warfare and communications resilience. Recent Chinese research touts a storm eye concept, paired drones that jam adversary systems while creating a protected electromagnetic comm for friendly signals through phase and timing-controlled emissions. While in the simulation stage, the approach suggests future EW tactics that neutralize enemy networks while safeguarding one's own C2 links and data links for unmanned systems. The mechanism of impact is clear. Autonomy without spectrum control is brittle. Autonomy with spectrum dominance compounds the threat and increases the tempo at which decisions can be imposed on an adversary. Sea-based deterrence remains a central pillar in China's force development. Reports and analysis linked to U.S. assessments indicate that China has been fielding the longer-range JL-3 SLBM, enhancing the survivability and reach of its nuclear deterrent, with integration efforts on existing SSBNs noted in prior years' reporting. The strategic logic is straightforward. A modernized sea-based deterrent complicates adversaries' targeting and strengthens second strike credibility, particularly as warhead numbers grow. China's Shang-class Type 093 nuclear-powered attack submarines have evolved through variants, with the 093B described as incorporating quieter operations, improved speed, and vertical launch capabilities, including integration with long-range anti-ship missiles such as the YJ-18. Open source assessments note China possesses 6 Shang-class SSNs, with the 093B variant designed to strengthen anti-surface warfare and land attack options. The logic of an SSGN-like evolution is consistent with a PLAN, seeking to extend its reach and diversify response options, from sea denial to prompt conventional strike. China has also publicized uncrewed underwater vehicles. The HSU-001 UUV was shown publicly in 2019, signaling interest in undersea ISR and potentially offensive roles. The visibility of such systems in parades and official showcases underlines an evolving view of the undersea domain as a blended environment of crewed and uncrewed assets. The mechanism of change lies in layer density. More sensors, more shooters, and more autonomy compress the decision window underwater, forcing adversaries to expend more resources on detection, classification, and countermeasures. Undersea competition is becoming more complex, not just more crowded. The 2024 reorganization that established the PLA's Information Support Force and redesignated aerospace and cyberspace forces under direct CMC oversight institutionalizes a hard lesson from modern conflicts. Information flows, spectrum control, and cross-domain integration are decisive. The ISF is described by China's Ministry of National Defense as a brand new strategic arm and a key underpinning for coordinating network information systems, language that emphasizes enabling and amplifying effects across services. In operational terms, the ISF is the connective tissue of jointness. Electronic warfare is shifting from brute force noise to precision-created asymmetries. The Storm Eye concept proposed by Chinese researchers aims to create a zone of electromagnetic calm for friendly users within a broader jamming envelope, enabling friendly communications while disrupting adversaries. Though still at the modeling stage, the ambition reflects a doctrine where unmanned platforms, fighters, and surface forces remain networked even as adversary systems degrade. The potential impact is high because this method reduces the trade-off between attack and self-protection in EW. The restructuring also suggests a more explicit delineation of responsibilities for space and cyber, the aerospace and cyberspace forces, consistent with a drive to integrate orbital sensing, data relay, counter-space options, and cyber operations into campaign plans. When viewed alongside kinetic modernization, this points to a multi-vector deterrence strategy, demonstrating that any conflict would occur under conditions of PLA-chosen information dominance, faster decision loops, and the erosion of an adversary's command confidence. The parade's invisible storyline is here. Platforms are the face, C2 and EW are the brain and nerves. In 2022, China publicly released footage of a new missile launching from a Type 055 Renhai-class cruiser, quickly identified by analysts as the YJ-21 hypersonic anti-ship ballistic missile. The prospect of a ship-launched ASBM capable of high-speed terminal maneuvering would significantly raise the risk to capital ships and high-value naval assets. Coupled with an expanding fleet of Type 055s, the signal is unmistakable. Surface combatants as shooters in a long-range, high-velocity anti-access web. The KD-21 air-launched ballistic missile appears to have shifted from airshow novelty to operational carriage, with imagery showing H-6K bombers from a frontline unit carrying the missile during drills. The KD series designation suggests a land attack orientation, though debates continue about anti-ship roles. In either case, an ALBM from standoff range complicates air-based defense and maritime strike planning. Air-launched ballistic trajectories shorten warning times and add angular unpredictability, stressing integrated air and missile defenses. Hypersonics are part of a larger missile modernization continuum. The 2019 parade's first public appearances of the DF-17 hypersonic system and the DF-41 ICBM revealed top-end growth at both operational and strategic levels. The strategic mechanism is layered deterrence, Regional A2/AD, enforced by hypersonics and precision conventional systems backed by credible intercontinental reach. At sea, if JL-3 continues to expand the SLBM envelope, survivable second strike potential grows accordingly. Hypersonic speed does not win wars alone, but it shifts timelines of decision, compresses defense options, and hardens negotiation postures. Independent assessments show steady expansion of China's nuclear arsenal. SIPRI estimated China at 500 warheads as of January 2024 and projected continued growth. The U.S. Department of Defense's 2024 report, summarized by FAS, assessed more than 600 operational warheads as of mid-2024, underscoring the pace of China's buildup in both platforms and warhead counts. Paired with ICBM and SLBM modernization, the signal is unmistakable. China is fielding a more robust, redundant, and survivable deterrent. Hardware alone does not create advantage. Integration does. The 2024 creation of the ISF and parallel direct report aerospace and cyberspace forces indicates a top-down push to bind sensors, shooters, and decision systems more tightly across domains. Whether in a Taiwan Strait crisis or a broader regional contingency, the PLA seeks to present an adversary with simultaneous problems: degraded ISR, compressed warning times, and salvos delivered from varied vectors, land-based, sea-based, air-launched, and potentially space-enabled queuing. China also links military modernization with narratives of global responsibility. Financially, it is the second-largest assessed contributor to UN peacekeeping, providing 18.69% of the budget in 2024 to 2025, a fact frequently highlighted to frame its role as a supporter of international security institutions. While peacekeeping and power projection are conceptually distinct, presenting both together helps Beijing argue that capability growth underwrites stability rather than threatens it. The mechanism is reputational insurance. A stronger narrative of responsibility can soften the audience's reception to hard power displays. The dual message parades are designed for layered audiences. At home, they reward sacrifice and renew pride. Abroad, they warn against miscalculation. The dual message is intentional, an emotional narrative of national resilience paired with a rational demonstration of capability growth. The key analytical question is whether this messaging stabilizes deterrence or spurs counter-moves. After 2019's debut of DF-41 and DF-17, foreign threat assessments adjusted accordingly. The pattern is likely to repeat as hypersonic, naval, and air power advances become more visible. Victory Day memorializes the Japanese surrender, a historical reference that still carries strategic gravity in today's regional environment. As Tokyo deepens defense cooperation with the United States and others, the memory of past conflict can be reframed by both sides in today's security competition. For China, the parade emphasizes a promise: never again unprepared. For Japan and Western allies, it reinforces the perceived need for integrated air and missile defense, maritime strike options, and resilient C4ISR. The mechanisms at work are psychological as much as material. Memory shapes, risk tolerance, and visible adversary capabilities shape budgets and basing choices. Competitive dynamics will likely center on the areas showcased by China's recent development drives. Hypersonic weapons, DF-17, YJ-21, KD-21, stealth fighters, J-20 with WS-15, and the naval J-35, and the invisible domains, cyber, space, and EW, via the ISF and related arms. These are not standalone lanes. Their power comes from convergence. Faster, fine fix-finish cycles, precision at distance, and degraded adversary awareness. The net effect is pressure on rivals to accelerate their own integration and experimentation. Speculation about a convergence of major leaders at the 80th anniversary is politically magnetic, but as of now, remains unconfirmed in official channels. What is confirmed, the schedule includes a major gathering in Tiananmen Square with a speech by Xi Jinping plus a reception and gala that evening. Related symposiums and events will involve participants from Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and overseas communities around the anniversary window. The mere possibility of high-profile attendance matters because presence signals priorities. For any leader, attending would frame the parade as not only a Chinese commemoration, but also a stage for global narratives about the lessons of World War II, stability, and power transitions. Reading the stakes, if major leaders did attend, would it lower tensions or harden blocks? The answer would depend on context and messaging. In one scenario, joint attendance underscores shared remembrance and a commitment to crisis management. In another, rival camps interpret it as alignment and containment. For Beijing, the optimal outcome is a demonstration that its rise can coexist with responsibility, an argument buttressed by peacekeeping contributions and calls for non-interference, even as it highlights unmistakable military prowess. For others, the calculus is whether optics in Beijing constrain options in other theaters. The broader commemorative architecture, Hong Kong's official ceremony and museum partnerships, Macau's organized live broadcast viewings, extends the stage beyond Beijing. It shows a national narrative stitched across jurisdictions with differences but a shared historical anchor. This matters in a documentary sense. Rituals are policy in symbolic form. They embed identity claims in civic practice and tie them to strategic patience and readiness. Whether foreign leaders attend or not, the country will be speaking to multiple audiences through a well-coordinated commemorative script. The 80th anniversary is a moment to honor those who paid the ultimate price in a war that scarred a generation and defined a nation. The official plans, gathering, medal awards, exhibitions, and ceremonies across the calendar solidify memory as a civic duty. In this reading, the parade is a promise to the past, readiness so that such sacrifice is never demanded again. The balance to watch. Yet the same formations that inspire domestic pride will trigger external reassessments. Hypersonic anti-ship weapons from surface ships and bombers, a modernized nuclear force, stealth fighters with improved engines, and organizational reforms for information dominance all push adversaries to rethink timelines, defenses, and escalation ladders. Whether this stabilizes deterrence through clarity or fuels, racing remains the defining question. As formations disperse and the square empties, the enduring impact will lie in the synthesis of message and means, memory to mobilize, modernization to multiply options, and organization to bind domains into a single campaign rhythm. If China has unveiled a blueprint, it is one of coherent, integrated force development aligned to political narrative and historical legitimacy. The world will respond in kind through alliances, technology races, and new crisis management mechanisms. That is why this parade matters beyond the roar of engines. If this analysis helped clarify the stakes and the systems, please drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more deep dive breakdowns. Your engagement helps us bring sharper, fact-based analysis to global events.